Hello. Thanks for tuning in. Sorry to be shit. You're coming back around. I got a little sidetracked with some other projects. I've been working on some new music lately and not focusing so much on the spiritual stuff. Even just took a little break from listening to most of the readers online that I do enjoy and appreciate so much, as most of the people who watch my videos do. And I've been watching a lot of football because we here in Buffalo have been cheering on the Buffalo Bills, hoping they could make a Super Bowl run, but it all came to an end on Sunday. And of course, I had a dream about it the night before. I had a dream that the Bills won the game, won a tight game late, um, and they lost a tight game late instead. So I guess for all the dreaming that I do, and some of it having been predictive occasionally in the past, it's not foolproof because that one was that one became a nightmare instead in real life. So there's that. I thought I would pop on and share some recent dreams because the dream bonanza has just been going on for weeks. I'm sure I've forgotten some interesting ones too. It's just I can't. It would be ridiculous to obsess over chronicling every dream, and it's not necessarily what everyone's interested in anyway. I know I have a select audience, but I do appreciate those who do tune in and provide their feedback too. It's always interesting to have these conversations about what dreams may mean and what they're signaling to us. So um, I'll start with a non-dream thought first. I believe that a couple days ago we Pluto went into the sign of Aquarius, and this is the thing they've been talking about for a long time. It it goes retrograde again for a short while, sometime this year. I don't have the timing exact, but then later in the year when it returns to Aquarius, it's in Aquarius for almost the next 20 years. And so I think that is actually what is meant by the age of Aquarius, Pluto in Aquarius, as more of a disruptor in Pisces, and then moving towards something more of a rebuilding phase in Aquarius. That's my understanding of it, not as an astrology expert of any kind. Before I get there, I got to thank Kat for gifting me this beautiful new whiskey glass. I love it. It's super cool. You can kind of see how it's the liquid is inset in this sort of interestingly shaped glass. So I am enjoying it very much. Thank you so much, Kat. First of the day, as my mom would say. I just rode the exercise bike, so now I got to try to get my heart rate down before sleep. So I use whiskey as the excuse. Okay, so last night I had a bunch of dreams, but the main one I remember was this really, really optimistic dream about the future of the United States. And that's why I wanted to share that first, because it seemed to come out of nowhere. I dreamt about a future president, a younger man, probably in his 50s with dark hair, white male. And so I don't really know who that would be. It wasn't like obvious that it was someone specific. Like, I mean, you know, I suppose an argument could have been made it was like a Gavin Newsom type, but it wasn't specifically him. And maybe that's not important. It's more about the symbolism that was in the dream. Excuse me. So in the dream, it was kind of like a movie too, which often my dreams are. It's almost like sometimes they seem to be almost like on a screen, like I'm watching them and then I'm in them. Like I'll stand in for a main character and I'll experience the dream through their eyes, almost at the same time as I'm watching it. It's like a dual perspective. So that was happening with this. I was getting to step into the future president's shoes, and it was like it was so great because it was like the rebirth of America. It was a dream about reestablishing all these relationships globally with other countries, all these new initiatives meant to improve everything about the country. infrastructure, the culture, wage inequality, climate change. And it was like endless visitors from other countries were coming to the White House to meet with the new president and sign new agreements. And there's this it's the feeling of the dream that stays with me. That this is very true with a lot of my dreams. I'll wake up from the dream. The feeling is so strong. I'm really not exaggerating when I say this. The energy of the dream is like stuck to me. And sometimes this goes the other way too. If I have a not pleasant dream, the energy is like stuck to me. And I have to figure out a reliable way to get unstuck from that energy when it's not pleasant. Because sometimes it just hangs around. And I don't know what that is. I don't know if we attract beings of light and dark in our sleep that intersect with our dreams and sort of cling to us through dreams. You got me. But it's weird how it works in both directions, positively and negatively. Because after I went back to sleep, I had some kind of weird dream that felt negative, and I don't recall what it was about, and I'm happy not to recall, because the dream about the presidency was so positive, so great, and it was like the way I remember people feeling about America when I was a kid, in the 70s and 80s, like more of an opening up of possibilities. It was so full of hope. And I remember thinking in the dream, I had a wife who was, the first lady, and thinking like I had this great wife supporting me in this difficult job, but it was joyful, and it signaled a new era. So I don't know, maybe that is reflective of us moving into Aquarius, or I'm not sure. I mean, the psychics that most of you watch, that I watch too, are saying that this year, the winter is going to be tough, and then spring, summer, something's gonna pop towards the positive, and that would make some sense, because recall that there was a disruptive astrological conjunction during the end of 45's reign, on January 01. I was 0112. Wait a minute. 011220 on January 12th, 2020. 011220. That's when Pluto, Mercury, and Saturn, I believe, unless it was Pluto, Jupiter, and Mercury, were conjunct. They were aligned in the same degree in the sky. And this is the day that COVID-19 was first DNA sequenced. And I've talked about it before, how my mom and I went out to lunch that day, and I knew that the conjunction was going to happen. And I said, let's see if we notice anything. And then at noon is when the conjunction took place, noon in the eastern U.S. And we didn't particularly feel anything. But yet, that was the last time we went out to lunch for like almost 2 years. We didn't know it would be our last lunch because COVID kicked in a couple months later. So sometimes it seems like the energy of an astrological shift doesn't kick in immediately when planets enter a new sign or enter a conjunction. Like it almost takes like time for that energy to. Do you know what I'm trying to say? It takes time for that energy to kick in. It's almost like in late summer, at least here in Buffalo, it's still hot, but the days are getting shorter. It's almost like summer's effects hang on past the sort of official end of summer. And same thing like in winter. The official beginning of winter is mid-December, but we don't really get the coldest temperatures until mid-January usually. So anyway, I'm wondering if astrology is like that, can be like that. I think that it probably is. So maybe we are really entering the age of Aquarius now. I recall my friend Marla, who I don't talk to too often, but she did an astrological chart for me, natal chart several years ago, reading. It was so accurate. It was so great. I mentioned it before. And back in 2020, when I said to her that I thought that 011220, that conjunction might be the end of Mr. 45 and his presidency, she said that things weren't really going to get better until 2024 or 2025 with the beginning of Aquarius. And she was mostly right, but she was also a little wrong. I mean, she wasn't wrong, but 45 did lose that last election. And even with all the noise he makes, in some ways, Biden has cut into that. Biden has done as much as he can to offer a correction to the direction that 45 was taking us in. And I truly believe that he will win the next election, even if there's drama. And I don't actually entertain the thought of him not winning it. You can call that whatever you want. You can call that delusion, or you can call it maybe manifestation. And they seem to be a little bit tied, that you have to believe so strongly in what you believe, almost to the exclusion of any doubt. Anyway.